Welcome to Film Riot. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad I'm here. I'm glad we're all here. We're here. So let's do a thing. I get stuck on details when I'm editing or creating special effects. What's your advice on learning when to stop and accept the edit or effects as done? A deadline. That is the only reason I ever stop working on anything ever, is because I have a deadline. Otherwise, I would nitpick that thing into the ground. That's why I always give myself hard deadlines that I absolutely have to meet. And then I put things in place to make sure that I have to abide by them, like a sponsor involvement, or we announce that date to all of you guys and we have to try to meet that. Whatever I can do to commit me to a date and make me stick to it. As often I move it anyway, but still, at least roundabout. That makes me finally have to say, done, no more. Otherwise, it's just that, like that saying, films don't release, they escape. That you're working on them up until the last minute. Even on the high end, everyone I've ever talked to, or even every interview I've ever heard, everyone says the exact same thing. How did you assemble your crew for Ballistic? We all have Power Ranger belts. I just yelled Avengers Assemble really loud. I did the Care Bear stare. Bat symbol, but with like a film reel on it. Or sensor. I guess that would make more sense. It's been a process of discovery over years and years and years and years and years of working with people. A lot of them I met through other projects, or from them working on past projects of mine in different ways, through Film Riot. All of these things, I've slowly but surely built together this crew of people that I could reach out to say, hey, I'm doing a thing. You want to do a thing with me? And those main keys then go about finding the rest. So you get your cinematographer, and then he has camera operators and first ACs and all that he wants to work with and will bring on board. You bring in producers that you want to work with, and they bring in, production help. You get the stunt coordinator you want to work with, and he brings in all his stunt guys and helps with the special effects and so on and so on. So it's just been a matter of doing things, starting out doing them all myself, and then meeting some people, and then bringing in, a composer, and then doing pretty much everything else myself still, and then bringing in a cinematographer, and then bringing in a sound recordist, and slowly but surely building that team out to where Ballistic was just reassembling the Avengers, really. Do you have any tips for young filmmakers whose friends don't want to act or help at all in your movie, or like having to go solo? I mean, when I didn't have anyone that would act in my stuff, I would act in it myself. I did that a lot. You just get a tripod, hit record, and then you act in it. And then other times I would go places and just film people that didn't know I was filming them, do almost like a doc style sort of thing, sort of what Philip Bloom does, how he just goes out and shoots a world. But instead of just having this scenic thing, I would try to create a narrative and almost make like a silent film of sorts. You could also go found footage route. You could create a whole narrative based off of like a found footage. If you go on vacation, come up with the narrative you want to try to string, and then go with the flow as things develop. And that's going to help you sort of build this storyline as, you go, and things just fall in your lap. And then hopefully at the end, you'll be able to cut together this piece that gives a story. The whole idea is that you're finding ways to help develop your storytelling abilities, that you're trying to piece together a fictional narrative in any way that you can with what you have, regardless of what you have, whether if it's an iPhone, whether it's just your friends, whether it's just by yourself, and just figuring out ways to do it. Just think outside of the box. Look at what you have in front of you right now. Think of what your end goal is. Not what your end goal is right this very second, next month. That's going to come and go. Things shift constantly on the fly. But 5 years from now, where do you want to be? If that's in film school, if you're very young, if that's, making your first feature, possibly, whatever that is, look at what's right in front of you. And what's the one thing that you can do to help you start moving towards that direction? Slowly but surely headed toward that direction. And that's how I've always handled things in my career. That's what I've done since I was a kid. Here's what I have: this really crappy VHS camera, which door doesn't shut. I have to duct tape it closed, in a VCR. What can I do with that? So take those things and do whatever you have to do to start sharpening your storytelling abilities. I'm going to film school soon. What is your advice? Because I'm a bit nervous and excited for it. My only advice would be to work as hard as you can, as often as you possibly can, and just take advantage of every possible second that you're there. That's what I did when I was in film school. There was lab time, and that time time we had with the gear, with the 16 mil and 35 mil cameras in the edit suite, all of those things. I was there until they kicked me out of those labs, which we usually went for about 4 hours, but there was only 2 hours that were mandatory. And by the end of the 2 hours, it was usually just me in the lab. Sometimes there'd be maybe one other person, but then once hour 3 hit, it would just be me in the lab. And I never understood that. You're paying to be there. This gear that you want to learn how to tell stories with is right there at your disposal. And it won't be after film school. I don't understand not taking advantage of that. Don't be lazy. Work your ass off for every second that you're there. Let passion drive you. And, don't let fear of failure hold you back ever. You're going to fail. You should welcome that, and you're going to learn a ton from it and keep moving. What's your favorite movie pre-birth of Ryan Conley? Feels like a weird way to ask the question, but I don't know how else to word it. Thanks. You're awesome. I don't know that there's just one. There's so many good films. I would definitely say Alien is high on the list. So is Indiana Jones, The Godfather, Exorcist, The Haunting, and literally everything from Alfred Hitchcock. I'm going to be in a place within the year where I'll try to break into the business professionally. What is your advice for making connections and getting scripts out there and read? That is an unbelievably difficult thing to do, especially when you don't know anybody. The best things to do that I've found is to make stuff and put it online. Make really good work, and people are going to start taking notice eventually. Other than that, plug yourself in somewhere. Maybe become a script reader if you can somewhere, and start working your way up to where you finally know someone that you could say, hey, I wrote this thing. Would you read it? You can also upload it to the blacklist. That's, it's a roll of the dice, but everything in the industry, as far as I know so far, is a roll of the dice. Now, mind you, I'm currently still working on breaking in myself. But from everything I've learned, that pretty much seems to be, even when it comes to getting an agent or manager, which I'm working with some managers now, it's like credit. You can't get credit unless you have credit. It's a crazy thing. So it's either you make a thing and you get noticed and they come to you, or you're recommended from someone that they check you out. You don't really just approach them, from my experience. So it's a very, 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 very difficult thing, and I wish you all the luck. If you figure it out, let me know. There's nothing more discouraging than having a pile of overdue paperwork just sitting there staring at you while you try to work or do anything you enjoy at all. Well, our friends at FreshBooks have their cloud accounting software that give you more time to do the work that you love and not feel discouraged by the paperwork demon. FreshBooks has been designed from the ground up and custom built for the way that you work. It's the easiest way to be more productive, organized, and most importantly, get paid quickly. The all-new FreshBooks is not only ridiculously easy to use, it's also packed full of powerful features. You can create and send professional-looking invoices in less than 30 seconds, set up online payments with just a couple of clicks, and get paid up to 4 days faster. You can see when your client has seen your invoice, and you can put an end to those guessing games. Of course, right now, FreshBooks is offering a free 30-day unrestricted trial. Just go to freshbooks.com/FilmRight and enter FilmRight in the How Did You Hear About Us section. Logos. So that's it for today, which means it's time for my suggestion of the week, which is another one that I go back and rewatch every now and again, and that's a TED Talk from J.J. Abrams. It's his mystery box talk. I've always really loved that. I'm huge on mystery, so this one is another one that really resonated with me. Link in the notes below, and until next time, don't forget to write, shoot, edit, repeat.